What you absolutely must avoid if you're going to hire a financial advisor. Welcome to this video, everybody. My name is Scott Newhouse, host of Retirement Clarity Radio. Really excited that you are here. So today I want to talk about something that honestly, I wish we weren't talking about this. I wish this didn't even exist and we never had to deal with these issues. But unfortunately, in the financial services and, financial advisor industry, there's some bad practices, and I don't know how to say that any nicer than that. And so what I'm going to talk about today is actually a boss that I had when I was just getting started in this industry. I just saw some news about him. He has actually been disbarred, completely kicked out of being a financial advisor. He's not allowed back in at any point ever. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about what he did, and there's actually a lawsuit against him, and a lot of it's redacted, and so I'm not able to see everything, but I can see this specific charges that were brought up, and I've got a pretty good idea of what happened here, because I did work for him. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, I don't want to paint a broad brush and say every financial advisor is terrible. By the way, if you're watching for the first time, I am a financial advisor. I don't think I'm a terrible person, but there's bad people in this industry, and so it's sad to say, but it's the truth. So today we're going to be talking about one of those people, so I can set the scene up and you can understand how this started. I started as a financial advisor in 2015. I started at a company called Edward Jones. There's a lot said about Edward Jones, and maybe we'll talk about that in a separate episode or video. But I started at Edward Jones, and how Edward Jones has everyone start out their career there is, unless you've got a base of clients to bring over to them, you're starting from scratch. And what they tell you to do is they tell you to start knocking on doors. Literally go door to door, knock on the door, strike up a conversation, see how many people you can, get to open accounts and work with you that way. So for those of you who do not know me personally, and I'm sure that's, the overwhelming majority of you, knocking on doors and, just going cold door knocking is the furthest thing from my personality that you could possibly imagine. I mean, it just does not sit well with me. I don't enjoy it. And actually, for the most part, the people that I met were nice, but man, it was a pain just to get up every day to do that. It wasn't something I looked forward to doing. And so I did that for a whole 3 months. Yes, a whopping 3 months, that I was able to knock on doors. And I just said, you know what, I can't do this. What I really want to do, as I'm just getting my financial advisor career started, is I want to go learn from someone else. I want to go learn from someone who's more established, who understands the industry, who understands how to serve clients, and I want to learn from someone else instead of just trying to get a lot of clients by knocking on doors. And so what I did, and I was, I can say this, I was living in Las Vegas at the time. And so I found a guy who looked really successful, and he had a nice office. He actually had 2 offices, a staff, lots of clients, and I joined him. And I started working with him, and got to be honest with you guys, and we're going to be getting into some less than admirable stuff, but this guy was a terrible person, and I can't say that any nicer. And honestly, just saying he's a terrible person is maybe being too generous to him. He would be yelling and screaming at employees, cursing at them. He would basically traumatize people. Everyone that worked there absolutely hated working for him as a person, and he wasn't a good guy. So I lasted an entire month, 4 whole weeks. I remember at the end of the 4th week, I went home. I was reading my James Patterson books, which I tend to do. Got that fiction habit from my mom. Thank you, Mom. And I was reading this book and just thinking about life, and I just said, man, I mean, who can, I don't, and I didn't have another job lined up. I did not have another job lined up, but I said to myself, boy, am I really going to go work for this jerk? And again, jerks being generous. Am I going to work for this jerk anymore, just for a paycheck? And put up with the way that he treats me and the way he treats other people. And by the way, I should say, he had a completely different face when he saw clients. I mean, it was just night and day. He's the affable, gregarious, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Hey, Scott, come on in here and meet so-and-so. I mean, so it was just night and day when, clients were around versus when clients weren't around. And so he was, Yeah, not a good guy. Thought about it over the weekend, and I said, I cannot deal with this guy anymore. And I just walked in, sent in my, signed my letter of resignation, walked out at like 9:05 or whatever the time was in the morning when I got in there, left after 5 minutes, and that was that. And so, excuse me, let me take a little sip of water. And so fast forward to today, that was 2015. Now we're obviously in 2022. And what I saw recently in the news from his firm is that he's been disbarred, and there have actually been lawsuits levied against him. And those lawsuits have been settled. And this is public record. So, I'm not going to, I'm probably, I'm not going to say his name, but the lawsuits are public record, and it looks like he agreed to a settlement to some clients who sued him for $450,000. And as part of the settlement, he was kicked out of the industry. So he is, thankfully, he's no longer able to give anyone financial advice. Now, let's talk about what you must avoid when you are hiring a financial advisor. And this is all going to tie into his business practices. Now, when you met with this guy, he really only had two products to sell you. He wasn't a comprehensive financial planner. He wasn't a certified financial planner. He wasn't looking at a holistic scope of, your financial goals, your retirement goals, your estate plan, your tax planning, Social Security, Medicare, cash flow if you need help with that. He wasn't looking at any of that. He was trying to hawk products. He was trying to hawk products that had the highest commission rate available. And let's just do a little math before I talk about the two products that he really liked to sell. But let's just say hypothetically I'm an advisor, and I'm just trying to get the highest commission possible. And let's say the potential client that comes in has $100,000 to invest. There's a number of different services you can offer them, but for the commission advisor who's highly incentivized by commission and not necessarily doing what's right for the client, they could put you into different products that could pay out a 5% to 6% to 7% to 8%, sometimes up to 10% commission on whatever that potential client invested in that certain product. So, for instance, let's say you've got $100,000, you're not great financial advisor talks you into a commissional product that product that pays out a 6% commission. We'll just use 6%. It varies across the board, across product. But what 6% of that $100,000, that's $6,000. So that advisor and my former boss would get people to invest $100,000 into one product, and he'd get that $6,000 check, and then his work was basically done. And frankly, he didn't want to hear from you again once the sale had closed, and once you couldn't take that money back, once you couldn't get those investments back. He really didn't want to hear from you, and he didn't provide any service to you in that terms. On the other hand, and that's obviously despicable, and we absolutely need to avoid that. And I'm going to tie into the specific products we absolutely have to avoid. On the other hand, let's say you have $100,000, you work with a certified financial planner who's looking at holistically everything that you need to do, and let's say they decide to charge you an assets under management fee. I know some people don't like assets under management fee. Some people are okay with that. Let's just hypothetically go with it. And let's say they charge you 1% on $100,000. Well, what is that? That's $1,000 over the course of the year. And the way that asset management fee typically works is it's paid quarterly. So you'd get so the advisor serving you would get $250 one quarter, then $250 the next, then $250 the next, and then $250 the next. Oh, and that's the 4 quarters over the full year. And hopefully they would be providing you financial planning, advice, and goals, retirement projections, helping you figure out what to do with Social Security and Medicare, making sure your estate plan's done. Even if they're not an estate planning attorney, they can help you look at designations, beneficiary designations. They can see if you have an estate plan, and if you don't, hey, we got to go talk to an estate planner. So in the way that ongoing fee works, and the way advisors are incentivized there, is that if they're not providing a service to their clients, then their clients just stop working with them. They go do it themselves. They hire another advisor. So again, I get the complaints about AUM and assets under management fee, but there is that incentive for the advisor to continue to provide ongoing value, or it could be a flat fee. Flat fees are great too. But But my point is, with the commission structure, you get everything up front once. If you get that bad advisor, they're going to not give you service after you're locked in to that product. If you hire someone and pay them on an ongoing basis, they're going to be serving you on an ongoing basis to justify the fee. If they don't justify that fee, find someone else, do it yourself, And so that is where this gentleman was coming from. Again, gentleman is too generous to describe this guy, but let me talk about the two specific products that he loved to sell, and this is all he would sell. He wouldn't sell low-cost, well-diversified stock and bond portfolio. He would sell these two products. That's it. Because of the commission. All he wanted was the commission. So the first product that he loved to sell is something called a fixed indexed annuity. So this is an annuity that is tied to some kind of index like the S&P 500. And you would participate in the gains of that index up to a certain point. So let's just hypothetically say that the S&P 500, which your fixed index annuity is tied to, gets 10% in a given year. And then your participation rate in that index was 7%. So, 70%. Your participation rate in that index was 70%. So if you had that fixed index annuity tied to the S&P 500, the max that you could get is 7% because you're participating in 70% of the S&P 500 gains. And then you would not participate in that remaining 30% or the remaining 3%. On the other hand, if there's some serious downturns in the market, of course it's an annuity, so you're not going to lose your principal there as long as it's guaranteed by the insurance company. But you're not going to lose your principal due to market fluctuations. Obviously, if an insurance company goes out of business, that's a completely different thing. Also with the fixed index annuities, and by the way, I wrote this book, 65 Questions to Ask and Answer Before You Retire. I actually have a whole section, so not just one chapter, but a whole section on annuities that's in this book. And I'll put a link where you guys can buy that on Amazon, or you can get it for free off my website and you just get a PDF download. So there's a lot of fees associated with these fixed index annuities. And then most importantly, and I know this is where this former advisor got in trouble, with the fixed index annuity, there is something called a surrender period where you cannot get your money out of this annuity for either 5 to 7 to 10 years. And it's just locked in there. And you can get a very, very small portion out, maybe 5%. So if you had $100,000 into one of these fixed index annuities, maybe you could get out 5% per year without penalties. If you wanted to take out more, than that, you'd have to pay penalties on that. Let me take another sip of water because I'm so amped up. This is really bad stuff. And so the commission on a fixed indexed annuity is anywhere from 5 to 8%. And so that is one instrument that my former boss, who has been kicked out of the industry, that's one instrument that he uses, and he pushed that on a lot of people. The second instrument that he pushed is a non-traded REIT as well as a business development company. These operate very, very similarly. They are private investments, and the non-traded REIT, as you can imagine, invest in real estate, but it's not publicly traded. The business development company / corporation that invests in a number of private companies, again, not publicly traded, and you'd have ownership in those private companies. Now these are sold by saying, hey, your value isn't going to go up and down the way your the stock market, the S&P 500. It's not going to go up and down the same way those index funds go up and down. And the reason why they're able to say that is because it's not publicly traded. And so yeah, you can't see the updated value every single day. Now, here's the problem though with these non-traded REITs as well as these BDCs. They change in value. They change in value just like Apple and Tesla and Amazon. They all change in value every single day. These private companies change in value every single day. The difference is you just can't see it. And so a lot of people and a lot of bad advisors kind of get across the notion that these investments are not going to change in value. The principal's not going to change in value. So let's say you buy for $10 a share and you're going to get a 7% distribution from that fund. A lot of a lot of investors unknowingly, because they've been misled, they think that that $10 a share that they bought in is going to stay the same, and then they're just going to get that 7% interest over the course of the year from that investment. Life is good, right? But that's not the reality, because those can lose value. There's no guarantee. I mean, it's an investment. There's absolutely no guarantee. And so a lot of unscrupulous, terrible advisors, including this former advisor, kind of pretend that you can't lose value in it. But you absolutely can. Also, these are very illiquid. Very illiquid. What do we mean by liquidity? If I buy, I don't know, State Street Global funds, Vanguard funds, Fidelity funds, I can buy them on Monday. I could probably sell them on Monday. I could buy them on Tuesday and sell them on Thursday. We have complete liquidity in our low-cost, well-diversified stock and bond fund. We have no liquidity with the fixed index annuities, as well as the non-traded REITs, as well as the BDCs. And there might be some small windows where you can get out of those funds, but it is not anywhere close to what you can do with your low-cost, well-diversified funds. And so I was looking at the lawsuit that these normal, regular people like you and me levied against my former boss, and the products that were listed were fixed index annuities, and so there is a high degree of confidence in my mind that these people were misled about not being able to get money out of these investments, because that is a common complaint. People are surprised and shocked to hear that they have to wait 5 years, 7 years, 10 years of having money in something that really doesn't grow that much, and it definitely doesn't grow as well as your low-cost stock and bond portfolio. So if they don't do as well as your normal portfolio, and you are stuck in them, and you're paying a really high commission, and you're not getting any ongoing service, especially if you unfortunately had to work with this guy that I have in mind. So when we are thinking about the things that you have to absolutely avoid when you are hiring a financial advisor, thinking about investing with a financial advisor, we've got to make sure that you have continual access to your funds. You're not going to be locked into something for 5 to 10 years, and that you're going to get ongoing service for an ongoing fee. You do not want to lock up all of your assets or a big portion of your assets into something that doesn't grow that well, and frankly don't get any kind of comprehensive service. And so that's where all these investors came down on this terrible guy. So thank goodness he has been kicked out of the industry. He had to pay a pretty hefty amount of money to make up for these things that he did. So if you're looking to hire an advisor, I hope you found this helpful. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.